Hello, my name is Jake Pozak, and welcome to my Revolutionary War timeline. In this, we will learn about the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, and other things, among other things. Basically, how we got our independence, breaking away from Britain, and becoming friends with France. Thank you for watching. Please enjoy. This beautiful green man, posted on the front of a dollar bill sign, is Mr. George Washington, our soon to be president, but commander in chief of 1775. He was chosen to be the commander in chief because of his reputation, his experience with the people, meaning that they knew what he was capable of, aka leading an entire army, and that he was noteworthy of doing it and capable of doing it, which is why he was chosen. Once again, this is Mr. George Washington, our Commander-in-Chief of 1775 and our soon-to-be President. He only received a basic salary for his expenses in war, which was very little because he did his job extremely well. It was plain to see that he was already, and he would for the rest of the wartime. And standing 6'2", which was ridiculously tall for his time, he was a little intimidating, so I'm kind of surprised he didn't get paid a little more, considering he towered over everybody. And another little fun fact was that he had wooden teeth, which is kind of why I'm guessing he didn't smile in very many pictures such as this one, and on the dollar bill sign, because it looks kind of scary. What this piece of paper is easily the most recognized piece of paper in all of American history. What this is the paper signed July 4th, 1776, that gave us Americans what we are known for today, freedom, because we broke away from Britain when we signed this paper, meaning that we were no longer tyrannized, we were no longer oppressed. What this did was it gave us Americans exactly what we are today, free, which is why this paper is probably the most important thing ever signed in American history. The men who drafted the Declaration of Independence were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Robert Livingston. The Declaration of Independence helped other people from other countries because what it did was it gave everybody in America the same rights, meaning that if somebody came to America, they had the same rights as everybody else, so no one was excluded just because they had different rights. Everybody was equal. And a fun fact about this was John Hancock was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence, and he signed his extremely large, which is why today, when somebody wants a signature of yours, they ask for you, John Hancock. Here's a fun fact. A man named Robert Livingston, one of the people who helped draft the Declaration of Independence, decided not to sign it. Not such a smart move, considering that this is the piece of paper that made us who we are today, because he said it was too early to sign what we didn't know was going to happen, which is basically saying he didn't think this was going to happen even though he put work into it. So he just turned down putting his name on the most important piece of paper in American history. Next, we have the Articles of Confederation, which were created in 1777. The original purpose of the Articles were to leave most of the power to the state governments, which would have helped everybody out because there would be no fighting, there would just be more power to one governing body, which would stop confusion and more people could agree on what would be right for everybody else. Here's a fun fact. On March 1st, 1781, the Articles were put into power. For whatever reason, people hated it. Nobody could agree on what they wanted, even though it was supposed to leave most power to the government, which actually created more confusion. So 3 days later, the Articles were taken out of power, which is, this date is now March 4th, 1781, which I find very funny because it only lasted 3 days. Now we have the Treaty of Alliance with France, which was created in 1778. Many people will ask why the French sided with the Americans. Well, the French didn't like the British because the British had kind of been their enemy for a long time, so they kind of saw this as an opportunity to finally break away and have more independent forces away from Britain, making them less powerful and having less people, less land, kind of taking away a lot of their power. The Americans sent Silas Deane to France to sign the treaty, and the treaty was signed in 1776. thus making France and America friends against the British Army. Here we have the Treaty of Paris, which was created in 1783, even though it was signed in Paris 1782. The main three men who were involved in this treaty were Ben Franklin, John Jay, and John Adams. Easily, the most important article throughout the entire Treaty of Paris was their preliminary Articles of Peace, meaning that between France and America there was peace, and between France, America, and Britain there was peace. So there were no more wars going on no matter what happened. So basically they were divided, and what happened in each country stayed in that country. What was the primary goal of the treaty was to recognize American independence, meaning that exactly what it sounds like, Americans wanted to break away from Britain. And the man who represented Britain at the signing, his name was Richard Oswald. Here we have the Federalist Papers, created 1787. There were a total of 85 papers written by the authors James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton. Considering that there's 85, that's a lot of papers for three men. The name Federalist Papers means they were the papers made by Federalists for Federalists. The importance of the Federalist Paper number 84 was the Bill of Rights, obviously the most important paper in the Federalist Papers, which is the rights of every person. Of course, it's the most important paper. And what a Federalist is an advocate / supporter of federalism. Here we have one of the most important bodies of the government in the time of America, back in the 1700s, which is the Constitution of the United States in 1787. What ratify means is to sign or give a formal consent to make a contract officially valid, and the Constitution was ratified, aka signed and given a formal consent in 1789. Back in the 1780s, America had more power. Why is this true? Because America wanted to protect the majority of rights, meaning more people had more rights equaled more power. So basically, in America, more people had more power. And the problem with who had more power in America was that the people who had a lot of power could never agree with each other, which is why they kind of wanted to give it to one government, all the power, so that there would be less arguments, but that didn't really work. People argued more, meaning that they had a lot of power, but they had no idea what to do with it. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some good information out of this. I hope you really enjoyed it, and here you can see the common American in his natural habitat.